Hello, I'm James, and today I'm going to give you a quick presentation on my EE368 final project. My project is titled Emotion Detection through Facial Feature Analysis, and the goal for this project specifically is to use digital image processing techniques to extract visual information of facial expressions so that we can train a predictor, which can then be used to label test faces with a predicted emotion. To do this, we've limited ourselves to 7 basic emotions. There's been a fair amount of research in the last several decades, notably from Ekman and Matsumoto, that indicate that there are about 6 or 7 universal facial expressions among humans, namely expressions associated with anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. That is to say, wherever you go, to whatever country or culture you may visit or encounter, people will consistently exhibit these facial expressions comprising of specific facial muscle movements and manipulations in accordance to those emotions. Now, successful face-to-face human interactions are often predicated upon more than just the words spoken, but also the mood of the interaction, the response and engagement of conversational counterparts, and the ability to recognize those responses accordingly. Humans have an innate ability to discern emotions and expressions of other humans, at least the most obvious ones. So if a computer's interaction or analysis of human is to be complete, it must be able to detect and recognize emotions. Now this can be a joint approach using machine learning and AI to analyze word choices, speech intonations, inflections, etc., but also a person's oftentimes genuine and uncontrollable facial and body language. This can be applied to a variety of fields such as entertainment, criminal justice, social media, content provider analysis, and healthcare. Now, since this is a well-motivated topic, there have been many studies trying different approaches to detect emotions. There's been feature detection extraction using wavelets such as the Gabor wavelet, or geometric analysis coupled with neural networks such as was done by Zhang as early as 1999. The authors of the popular Cone-Kanad dataset have also used active appearance models, extracting facial landmarks and examining facial action units, which detail certain muscle movements consistent with certain emotions, and classify those using support vector machines. Other feature extraction methods such as local binary patterns or histogram of gradients are used along with some classifiers such as SVMs. In this project, we implement a detection algorithm that uses a first, then second if needed approach. First, we use Fisher faces that have been trained to encode information unique to each emotion while minimizing the other emotions. This is achieved by performing principal component analysis on the mean removed training sets to reduce dimensionality, then performing Fisher linear discriminant analysis for each emotion. Here we seek to maximize between class variance and minimize within class variance. Now, projection of the training data set, separated for each emotion as that emotion versus all the others, onto each Fisher face should provide a relatively clear separation in the distributions of the projection values. This allows us to predict emotions of test images by projecting the image onto the Fisher face and seeing if it falls on one side of a threshold determined from the training data projections or the other. However, this alone is not adequate enough for our goals. It can be seen experimentally that the Fisher face approach alone only provides an accuracy of approximately 50%. Now the Fisher face works well if the test images are anger, fear, happiness, sadness, or surprise. Now we will consider these to be the easy to distinguish emotions. However, contempt and disgust are consistently difficult to distinguish with our Fisher faces. For contempt, the issue may lie in the fact that contempt, unless exaggerated, does not have the same obviously unique feature manipulations as some of the other emotions, such as the mouth pulling upwards and the eyebrows raising for happiness, the furrowing of the brows for anger, or the mouth pulling down for sadness. It is for this reason that we have grouped contempt with neutrality. Now this is inaccurate in accordance to our aforementioned sources on universal expressions, but it's difficult to find examples of overt contempt for training and testing. It may also be a difficult expression to diagnose as a human as well, as it is a relatively neutral expression, but with a unilateral pulling up of the mouth. Now, this may be difficult to tell from general neutrality, or has been in the case in my testing, hard to tell from the smiling present in happiness. Now, the other difficult to distinguish expression is disgust, whose most telltale sign is a pulling upwards of the nose, like the expression you would make if something stings or repulses you. This leads to the wrinkling of the nose, especially around the bridge near the eyes. Now, with mean subtraction and Fisher face projection, this detail can be easily lost or overlooked. Other stronger features that may be similar to other emotions, such as the brow furrowing, also present in anger, may conflate our result. Now, because of this, when you seek to come up with another algorithm that can handle the difficult to distinguish cases, or break the ties if we have more than one positive result on Fisher faces, this will be an extraction of the region of eyes and of the mouth using simple heart features, which use two or more adjacent window boxes that weight in some pixel intensities and calculate differences to detect objects. Now, we'll take these out, and then we'll eventually calculate a histogram of gradient for the eye and the mouth regions. If we can't detect the eye and mouth using the hard features, then we will use Harris key point detection and extraction. This is because we can use this because the eyes are quite unique in the overall uniformity versus everything else on a face, which we can generally detect corners or key points around and in the eyes. The areas surrounding the white of the eyes are generally darker, as is the pupil, iris and pupil in the center. This can often lead to strong corner points being detected by the Harris detector, which looks for corner points by examining if there is a gradient change in all directions at a certain point. We can keep the certain number of the strongest corner points, then slide a window vertically down the face, tallying points in certain intervals. The eyes are extracted from the interval with the most points. So then we'll take that, either extracted from hard features or the Harris key point algorithm, and we will extract hog features, which is histogram of gradient. These two effectively encode feature orientation in our expressions. Then we can use those features along with labels from our training data to train a multi-class SVM. Now when we test, we reshape and project the test image first onto our 5 easy to distinguish Fisher faces, which are anger, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. Now, if only one Fisher face predicts a positive result, then the corresponding emotion is chosen as the predicted emotion. If none are positively predictive, or if there's more than one, then we extract the eyes and the mouth from the test image using either hard features or Harris corners, perform the hog extraction, and predict using our trained SVM. Now, this dual approach algorithm is reasonably successful with an accuracy of 81%. Fisher face alone is not accurate due to sporadic mistakes on the easy to distinguish emotions as well as consistent mistakes on the harder to distinguish ones. Now, hog only is much better than just Fisher face, as it does not lose the more nuanced visual information or conflate information as easily, but it is slower since we must extract both the eyes and the mouth from the test image, and we may have to try different methods to do so, and then must perform hog extraction before the prediction can be made. Using the combination approach, predictions on the same set of data can be 20% faster since the easy to distinguish emotions are detected by a quick projection onto the Fisher face, and only if nothing is found or too many are found, then we use the more discerning but slower algorithm with the hog and the SVM. Now, a couple of things to note on the testing are that there are still some issues generally from the contempt/neutral predictor if we're looking for that face, as it is not well defined both intrinsically as well as within the training data that we have. So there's some minor confusion that can occur once in a while for other things as well, including between fear and sadness sometimes happens because of how the mouth is oriented. If the sadness is not overt. The algorithm cannot distinguish and categorize external test images that well that do not fall cleanly in one of the 7 or successful 6 basic emotions. There can be expressions that exhibit a variety of signs that typically belong to one unique class, or perhaps there's a more sophisticated expression that is not captured within the 7 basic emotions. Future work should look into different feature extractions with emphasis on speed as well as accuracy, as well as different methods of performing classification, such as using landmarks and coding using facial action units. My thanks go out to the EE368 teaching staff, especially the Professors Wetstein and Giroux, and TAs Bouin and Tilak. Thank you very much for watching.